Okay. All right. The video is stopped recording again. So we're going on to part two, but I was on one. And so I'm telling you, those low vibrations, they come in like them haters out the woodworks and they be doing stuff. So as I'm sitting here telling you guys that it is very much so that someone's childhood trauma could just be to shape them in this lifetime. So that way they head in the direction that they're supposed to. There can be a reason why they went through this, but that's where your discernment is so important, to be able to look at people's actions versus their words, their character, how they treat other people. Look at their relationships in their life. Who is around them? What stories are they telling you? What are you feeling when you're around this person? Because you will be shown. If you read between the lines, you will be shown the truth. If this person is not genuine, if this person doesn't have the ability to be vulnerable, if this person is leading you on or taking you down some like distorted path where you're always confused, you will know. Listen to the adjectives, listen to their stories, look at who they have around them. Look at how their families treat them or how they talk about their family, how they talk about their close friends. You will be able to recognize and identify whether or not these people are genuine, whether or not they were sent by a low vibration, whether or not they're a lesson for you, and being able to look back at their childhood trauma and what has gone on and what brought them to where they are today. But if they aren't treating you right, that is not an excuse. You do not need to stay around at all to show them what love is. If you're even questioning if you have to stay around to show them what love is, they're already probably treating you terrible and you've probably already shown them love. You don't need to flower them with vacations and gifts and like surprise them with stuff or do things that they love to do, because if they're not treating you right, you got to accept the lesson and then keep it pushing. You have to learn the lesson and keep it pushing. Recognize how you got into this position in the first place so that way you don't go back into this position. What part of your shadow are they showing you that you need to work on? When you are moving forward and you are making the necessary changes in your life to do the right thing, to continue evolving, to not be the same person that you were last year, then you have to shed things. You shed friends, you shed careers, you shed jobs, you shed school, you shed relationships, you shed habits, behaviors, activities. You got to shed, and evolve. Pick up a book, read a book, figure out what it is that you want to research. Start joining these clubs and doing all these different things because it's time for change. It's time to move out of where you've been and step from powerless into powerful. It's time to let go of the things that are no longer serving you anymore. Take the lesson and then move. You don't need to stay stuck in these situations. You don't need to stay stuck in these relationships. You don't need to stay stuck in these dead end jobs, hoping that maybe you get to be a manager one day. I don't know if you guys have seen Harold and the Purple Crown, but there's a little snippet in there about how like dreams do come true. He's the manager of like a Piggly Wiggly Mart of some sort, Kmart, I don't know, something along those lines, like a miniature Costco. That is not the dream. That's not the dream. You were meant for so much more. And if you are unable to recognize that you were meant for so much more, then you are going to continue to stay stuck. You have to push through the fear. You have to push through the obstacles. You have to look at what it is that truly makes you happy. What keeps you up here? What's got you singing in the car, dancing around your living room? Who are the people that are empowering you and encouraging you with no hidden agenda? Where are they? What are you doing? Why are you here? What is your purpose? Because the answer's in here. It's inside. There is something that is going to make you feel more alive than you have ever felt. And it's up to you to figure out what that is. And it's often rooted in our fears. So look at what gives you anxiety. Think about the situations that you're in when your heart just starts racing, your throat starts closing up, and you just don't know how to move forward. And you can look at that moment and you can allow it to set you back. You can get all sweaty and anxious and just jittery or whatever it is that your body does when you're having a physical reaction to something that you're afraid of, and have that physical reaction. Feel those feelings, wire them back to your childhood trauma, figure out where they came from. What was the script that your parents fed you as a child? Was money tight? Were they telling you things like you have to check all the boxes or marry a rich person, or you have to spend all your time here and then just work your way up the ladder? That's how it's done. Like, no, there are so many other options. If you are not happy where you are, it's up to you to make the changes. And it's up to you to turn inwards to figure out what it is that makes you happy. When you are having one of those days where you're just like, whoa, life is awesome, evaluate that day, evaluate what happened that day, because that's the energy you want to channel. That's the person that you want to try and tap into. And I can't preach subliminal messages enough, because so many people do not feel worthy. And let me tell you, you are worthy. You are destined for greatness. You are meant for so much more. You are capable of continuing to expand. I was listening to a comedian and he was like, like billionaires, they get all bored because they've done everything and they're like, let's go explore space. Like, let's go see what's out there. I can do anything here. Let's go out there. Let's timeline hop. Let's travel. Let's jump into these extremely deep meditations that transform us to where we can't go backwards anymore. To have these moments to stop asking, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Because it's not why me, it's what's the lesson? How do I love myself? How do I fulfill this why, this ick feeling that I'm just gonna be trudging along the same path forever? What was the message in your childhood? What were your parents like? Were they free thinkers or were they constricted? Did they tell you that you were stupid? Did they tell you that you weren't good at things? Or did they make you feel like you were stupid or make you feel like you weren't good at things without ever saying it? Because you are so worthy. And so when we look at the subliminal messages, that's when we're able to rewire the subconscious. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing and like break it down and blah, blah, blah. But if you find one that you like and you dedicate 30 days to listening to it, one on self-worth, I would do one eventually on your financial frequency, but I wouldn't start there because you don't want to start attracting money or whatever. I mean, do what you want. But if you start attracting money, but you don't feel worthy, then there's going to be a disconnect. So go with self-worth, go with chakra alignment, dedicate 30 minimum to 45 days. And I promise you that if you fall asleep listening to them and you repeat them, I am worthy, I am abundant, I am prosperous, and you just repeat whatever it is that this person is saying until you fall asleep, you are going to notice a difference in your day-to-day activities, the way that you present yourself, the way that you show up. I promise you, it will be different. It just works. I don't even really know how. I just know that it does. And it's the easiest way to avoid having to go pay hundreds of dollars to see a therapist or go into a treatment center. You start working on yourself and you start to see things differently. You perceive them differently because so many of our actions come out of our subconscious. So many of the things that stop us come out of our subconscious. Our reactions to things, our physical reactions to things come from our subconscious. So go and listen to these subliminal messages. Find the ones that resonate with you. Self-worth, self-esteem, sacral chakra, root chakra. If you don't feel safe, that is root chakra. That is the baseline of what we should be having in balance if we want to start to proceed up the chakra alignment. Go through a chakra cleansing and clearing. They are energy centers. They are our electromagnetic field receivers and senders. And so going in and making these changes will change everything for us. We won't even be able to look at people the same. Like, the echelon of people that I've been around versus who I'm around now versus who I want to be around is constantly changing. And there's no judgment whatsoever. I just see that I like something over here a little bit more than I liked over here. But I loved that last year. I loved that 5 years ago. The activities that I loved, I no longer love. I used to love going to the bars and getting blacked out drunk and throwing dinner parties and playing Cards Against Humanity. I don't love those things anymore. But there was a point in time where that was all I ever wanted to do. But I changed, I evolved, I healed, I grew. So I'm going to leave this one here because this is part 2. We have part 1 and it's been a minute. So I love you. Mwah. You are worthy.